to me. Our thoughts as Bible-believing Christians, if you're a Bible believer this morning, you need to believe the Bible. Isn't that a unique thought? If you're a Bible-believing Christian, you need to believe the Bible. And this is what the Bible says about ownership and things. Luke chapter 16 and verse number 9. It talks about money here. Luke chapter 16, verse 9. And I say unto you, is the Lord speaking here too, make yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness. That just means the mammon of unrighteousness. Talking about money there is what it's talking about. It says, learn how to use money correctly, the right way. Friends of the mammon of unrighteousness. Use it in the right way like we do at our church. I do in my personal life too. Many of you do also. That when ye fail, they may receive you into everlasting habitation. Using finances in a spiritual way, turning into spiritual things. That's not what my main thought is this morning. Now verse 10. He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also much. And he that is unjust in the least is unjust also much. I mean, here's points out in verse number 10 who you can trust and who you can't trust. Trust those who are faithful in small things, in little ways, because then you can trust them in bigger ways. Or if you can't trust them in even little things, small ways, then you're not going to be able to trust them in big things either. So you give people tasks and try them out in little things, give them little jobs to do, or trust them with little responsibilities. And if they don't fulfill the little responsibility, don't give them more things to do, because they're not going to fulfill that. They've already failed in small things. But that's not my message either, although I like saying that. It's good. Verse 11. If therefore ye have been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? If you're unfaithful in the unrighteous mammon, talking about finances, money, then who will commit to your trust the true riches? The true riches are spiritual riches. So if you're not faithful in money, you're not going to be trusted in spiritual things either. Now verse 12. This verse applies. And if ye have been faithful in that which is another man's, if you have been faithful in that which is another man's, what belongs to somebody else, not mine, but theirs, yours, if you have not been faithful in that which is another man's, who shall give you that which is your own? You know what this is saying in verse 12 here? A person that's doing what's right gives evidence of doing what's right by how he handles other people's wealth, how he handles other people's materials, how he handles other people's things, not just his own, but how he handles other people's things. For instance, on the job. When you work a job, and you're working jobs, of course, when you're working on a job, you need to look at that job, as verse 12 here says, as being another man's wealth, and therefore you need to work that job as best as you can. You need to work hard on the job. You need to work faithfully on the job. You need to try to make the owner, your boss, the owner, successful. Amen. That's what your job is scripturally here. Because it says in verse 12, if you have not been faithful in that which is another man's, like working a job, who shall give you that which is your own? Nobody will. This is so intriguing here. Mine, yours, God's. The difference there. What's mine? First of all, there is private ownership. Jesus Christ taught, he said, and I have the freedom to do what I want with what is mine. He talked about that. Doesn't God bless people sometimes financially? You know, even in the Old Testament, there were some very wealthy people that were good Christians. Job was one. Joseph was another. Well, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Let's say Daniel, though. Daniel could be included in that list. God blesses wealthy people sometimes. God blesses so they can be wealthy too. And that is there. Now, the problem with when you have things, though, you have the responsibility for them too. You have to take care of them. And not only that, but then you'll be held accountable for that. Remember that parable? It was so interesting when the Lord was about to leave for a while, and he gave one servant 10 talents, he gave another servant 5 talents, and he gave a third servant just 1 talent. And when he came back after a long time, by the way, 2,000 years is a long time. Yeah. When he came back after a long time, he accounted for a rendering. He asked for a rendering. And so he called the man with the 10 talents. 10 talents says, well, I took your 10 talents, I earned 10 talents more. He says, well done, good and faithful servant. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. And then the man with the 5 talents, we're given the 5 talents, he came up and he presented himself and gave an accounting, like we do accounting, a rendering. And he said, Lord, you gave me 5 talents. I used those 5 talents. I gained 5 talents more. I used what you've given to me to multiply and do more with those things. He says, well done, good and faithful servant. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. And then that third guy came. You know what that rascal said, this third guy? You know what he said? I was going to use the word stinker, but that's not very spiritual. You know what that rascal said? It says, I knew that thou art a hard man. Is that some way to talk about the Lord? No. I knew that thou art a hard man, so I took your talent and I buried it in the earth, in the ground. And he says, there, you have your talent back. What was the Lord's attitude about that? Thou wicked and slothful servant. You see, everybody is serving the Lord. They just don't bow the knee and surrender to be the servant of the Lord. The one with the 10 talents, he used what God gave him, what was his mind, and he expanded on them. And then when the time came for the accounting and the rendering, when the Lord came back and the time for the judgment came, he said, I got 10 talents more, and the Lord was delighted with that. And the man with the 5 talents came, I earned 5 talents more, and the Lord was delighted with that and blessed both of those men even more, even more. And then that one last guy came. He said, this is what you gave me. There, you got it back. Happy now? You can almost sense that attitude, couldn't you? And in that story, in that parable the Lord told them. Aren't you happy now? Boy, oh boy, what an attitude change. What is